It has been elegant, it has been chaotic, and there have been a lot of rich people problems in so many different ways. Welcome to Narratives and Nightcaps, books, beverages, and author conversations. I'm Bree, always ready to dive into new fantasy worlds and take a step back in time.
I'm Megan, part critic, always team physical copy, and forever chasing good thrillers and a great plot twist.
I'm Emily, your resident mood reader who thrives on chaos questions and lively book chats.
And I'm Jordan, equal parts heart, humor, and high-functioning caffeine addict. I come with coffee in hand, wine on standby, and a Gilmore Girls quote for every occasion.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Welcome back. Hi, ladies. Hey.
How's it going?
Going.
I feel it's going. It's chugging along.
Yeah. It's like crazy to me that I don't remember when this comes out, but like it's halfway through June already. Like, that's
Yeah.
insane to me.
Yeah, same. I was looking at my calendar today trying to get some things booked, and it was wild to think about and how fast the year is going. I don't know. It's just crazy. And in that too, I had a really fun experience today where I went to book a flight and I hit purchase on said flight, and then the screen just started to buffer, and then it goes at the top, it goes, you have an error. And I thought it meant that there was an error with, like I typed my credit card number wrong or something like that. There was nothing. The error was that the site was overloaded, but they still charged my credit card. And I have no flight confirmation, no actual booking information, but my credit card has been charged.
Yeah, that's not fun. I thought you were going to be like, oh, and I got a free flight out of it because they screwed up. That's not fun.
Happy summer traveling. And so this has been now is on my list of things to try to resolve this week. So happy Sunday.
No, that's trash. That
Oh, that's
sucks.
rough.
But
Sorry.
what can you do? But that was my fun. That was my fun an hour pre-recording adventure.
Ugh, that
That's
sucks.
rough. Well, I know I already shared my brief adventure today of going to Target to try to find an umbrella for our back patio because it's kind of sunny, right? And the kids are going to be playing outside. And why are all of the patio umbrellas at Target with fringe? I don't understand. It's not my vibe. Maybe I like am behind the times, but it was like not what I was going for. And there was like no option for a patio umbrella, like that goes in a table without fringe.
Yes. Now,
Yeah.
are we talking true like stringy fringe or is it like a scalloped
No, like
edge
stringy, like
stringy fringe?
I like yarn, like fancy yarn, right?
Yes,
Where it's
yes.
like, yeah, stringy fringe.
Oh, yeah. I know
Yeah,
we talked about the spider potential, and
that's
that's
right.
a
Like
hard no for me.
I'm going, I feel like I should be twirling it like a parasol while I saunter around the park in like a Bridgerton movie or something. But my fear is that with fringe, it is going to have spider webs between every like little tassel. And then I'm going to have spiders falling in my food and like on my head while I'm at the table. And that's not my vibe, not
Mm-mm.
what I'm going for. No.
Nope, nope. We've
Not my
seen
vibe.
some nasty spiders around our house recently, and we're like, hell no, get us out.
Well,
I think
that,
Megan was on the phone with me not long ago when I had a spider in my
oh,
house.
Yes. And then you lost track of it. That's the scariest part. You can't
I
lose
found
track
it
of them.
again. All was fine. All was fine. I did find it, but
but
he was so scary looking. Oh, it gives me
oh,
like
I at
so
least spiders in our house, our chocolate lab will eat them. So I just like stay with the spider and call our dog, and like right here, and he like whoop, licks it right up and gone. And so for all of his crazy shenanigans, I'm like, at least he eats the spiders for me, so I don't have to do anything with them. And I'm like, good boy, and we keep moving.
oh
Yeah,
my
I'm passing on. Like I don't think I have arachnophobia, but like I do. You know what I mean? Like I'm just self-diagnosing that I have it. And but unfortunately I feel like I'm sharing it with my kids. Like I'm trying to like put on a brave face, like, oh, bugs, oh, spiders. And meanwhile, I'm like 12 feet back, like, yep,
Like,
there's one.
there's
Oh my goodness, you're making me think of so same. I don't do spiders of any shape or size, even the I just ugh. I
nope.
think I also have arachnophobia. I also no, I don't do wasps or
Mm,
bees. Like I can
nope.
kind of from a distance. I'm like, yes, pollinate the world. You do you. I'll be over here. As long as we just live in our separate bubbles, we're fine. I don't like wasps. And I saw this video, you just made me think of it, Megan, of this poor mom. She's sitting in an inflatable pool in her backyard with her
No.
little daughter or child with her and they're playing and a wasp came and this woman absolutely loses her mind and is under the water and she posted it and was like I fully recognize that I what my
Yeah.
reaction looks like and that I overreacted and people were just being so mean to her in the comments about like how she was going to impact her kid and the fear of wasps and I was like but that is me. I can't control it because no matter how much I try to sit there and think, "Oh, it's not gonna bother me. I'll be fine." I cannot. I cannot
No.
control myself.
No.
No, like I have, I think we talked last episode about losing our memories, but I do have a memory of being like, I don't know, first grade, kindergarten maybe, and I'm doing like a Nat Geo computer game type of thing, and one of them was spiders, and I literally sat there screaming at the computer screen, not able to move the mouse or click any buttons because there's just, and I'm like screaming bloody murder for my mom and I, because I just like, it was like paralyzing. I was like, it is in front of me and I can't do any, like, it's just that knee jerk reaction, except for mine is freeze, fight, or flee, right? What? Fight, flight, or freeze? And mine is freezing when it comes to spiders. Like, I just can't, I cannot do it. So,
Mm.
I still remember where I was. I know we've talked about the scary stories to tell in the dark, but I
yeah.
remember them reading that to me in third grade and talking about the girl that had
Oh,
spiders that came out of her face. Third
mm-hmm,
grade. I've
mm-hmm.
never forgotten that. Me sitting on my yellow square and them telling, and I was like, I'm scarred for life.
Well, and especially because like I feel like third grade, obviously you're not like quite at puberty yet, and that story is set up like, oh, this girl got a pimple. Turns out it was a pimple full of spiders. And you're like,
No. No.
so like being,
Spiders are
like 9, 10 years old, you're like, oh my God.
The real trauma that
yeah.
that has now, again, can't remember anything else, but do I
No,
remember that day? 100%.
absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. No, no spiders, no hornets, no anything. Like, I'm done. I'm out. That is nope. Nope, nope, nope.
I well, someone recently too was telling me that we have scorpions in Florida, and I was like, I'm sorry,
Mm.
what? And they were like, yeah, there are some scorpions, and I was like, I've never known about this. I feel like we have enough.
Well, Brie, I have
Stop
I
putting
have a
in everything in
solution for you.
Florida.
Because I grew up in Arizona and we for sure have scorpions in
Yes.
like 100%. And so I had a friend growing up that there was a house under construction next door that disturbed a scorpion nest. So her whole cul-de-sac got like overrun. Um, so, and so her brother got stung, she got stung, it was a whole thing. So, they got chickens. Chickens are a natural enemy of scorpions. And so they got like 5 or 6 chickens, put a coop in the backyard, let the chickens roam over their property. No more scorpions.
No way. Like the chickens eat them?
Yeah, they just like all the bugs, grubs, scorpions, like they just went from the front to the back, like, as a chicken does when you're
But
on
can't
like it's
scorpions get like big?
yeah, but I mean, I didn't ask the chickens how they like attacked a larger scorpion. I didn't stop to question their methods. They were like go, pecking at the ground and doing their thing. So chickens, Brie, and then they got eggs, right? Like it was a very symbiotic
Full of life.
circle of life, right? Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. I do want chickens. So far,
Yeah.
literally knock on everything that exists. Like, haven't had this experience yet.
Yeah.
But that is terrifying. You gave me full body chills
It
with
was
that story.
don't recommend. Yeah.
Okay,
No.
we have to move on from the
Yes.
From
bugs.
bugs.
What a segue into this book that we're supposed to talk about.
Um, these characters would never. They would.
No.
No, yeah,
No.
would never. No. They would send their, I don't know, bodyguard servants to clear the area first before they made their entrance into any sort of infestation problem.
Or I think they would just sell the property.
Yeah,
Like
burn it down and
burn
then
it.
sell
Like we all joke about, burn it down and rebuild. And I think they might just literally burn it
it.
down and
Literally.
rebuild and be like, oh, okay, I'll jump over to this house while that one's like recovering.
Yes.
I'm honestly kind of surprised now that that wasn't a storyline in this. Not maybe because of a bug problem, but just even I really don't like it. Let's start fresh. Or
Yeah.
I'm feeling a redecoration, some new inspiration. Let's just go ahead and start with
Literally.
a new canvas entirely.
Yes.
There was a little bit because I thought Kitty did some
Did
like
she tear down the whole house?
No.
undo and redo. No, no,
Oh,
no, no. But like
oh yeah, yeah.
room by room, strategically removing what Colette had put in place.
Yes.
Yes.
That definitely did happen. So on
Yeah.
that note, we are talking about Rich People Problems by Kevin Kwan. We are ending our adventure with Crazy Rich Asians in this episode, moving on to more summer reads. But it has been elegant, it has been chaotic, and there have been a lot of rich people problems in so many different ways throughout this series. But before we go any further, Emily, what is our final drink pairing for this series?
I feel like I need a drum roll because full disclosure, listener, I have no notes in our shared files, so I'm going off of the handwritten page. It's going to be exciting. So our pairing for this third book is a French 75 Royale. So if right, and you probably already know
You
where I'm
had me at
going.
French 75.
Me too.
Yes.
I'm here for a good French 75. So gin has been our pairing throughout this entire series. Mainly because it's got obviously connections, I mean, with the UK, right, and London and whatnot, and that's very much where we see a lot of our characters have spent their time, and there's a big connection to the UK with a lot of this. So gin has been, kind of throughout the series. We started with our gin and coconut water cooler for book one. Very like Rachel is just entering this wild and crazy world that she has no idea, no prep for. We followed it up with an elderflower gin spritz. So a little more elevated, a little more, I'll say, kind of channeling Colette, what I would expect she'd be drinking on one of her private jets, like as she's zipping around the world. And we're going to end the series, also gin, but with this French 75 Royale, which is gin, lemon juice, simple syrup, and of course, champagne. And it just felt like such the right way to end this series with, I don't know, for me, champagne and bubbles is celebratory, and it's just the vibe. And when we finally get insights into, I'm going to butcher this, but Tyersall Park.
Parasol Park.
Tyersall Park, thank you. The big house. And we finally get to like live in it through some of the characters and see it through everybody's eyes. And we get to the conclusion of what happens to that beautiful property and to Nick and Rachel and all the characters. And it just felt very celebratory when we get to the ending. So cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Emily, I will also say right now I am drinking our elderflower gin spritz, which is so delightful, so summery. So I highly recommend if anyone hasn't tried
One
it
of my
yet.
faves. Love it.
And my glass is sweating a lot, so hopefully it'll be kind of quiet for this. Okay, well, before we talk about all of our final thoughts, I will go ahead and give us a bit of a setup and summary here, and I apologize in advance for anything that I mispronounce. When Nicholas Young hears that his grandmother, Su Yi, is on her deathbed, he rushes to be by her bedside, but he's not alone. The entire Shang Yang clan has convened from all corners of the globe to stake claim to the matriarch's massive fortune, with each family member vying to inherit Tyersall Park, a trophy estate on 64 prime acres in the heart of Singapore. Nick's childhood home turns into a hotbed of backbiting and intrigue. As Su Yi's relatives fight over heirlooms, Astrid is at the center of her own storm, desperately in love with her old sweetheart Charlie Wu, but tormented by her ex-husband, a man hell-bent on destroying Astrid's reputation and relationship. Meanwhile, Kitty Pong, married to China's second richest man, Jack Bing, still feels upstaged by her new stepdaughter, famous fashionista Colette Bing. In this sweeping tale that takes us from the elegantly appointed mansions of Manila to the secluded private islands in the Sulu Sea, from a kidnapping at Hong Kong's most elite private school to a surprise marriage proposal at an Indian palace that is caught on camera by the telephoto lenses of paparazzi, Kevin Kwan hilariously reveals the long buried secrets of Asia's most privileged families and their rich people problems. Whew, that was
I have to say,
like,
Bree, you nailed it because I have to say we are missing the fourth pillar of our show, and Bree, you're carrying the mantle quite well.
oh,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah,
We are missing Jordan today, obviously, so we will
yeah,
not have her
I know.
wonderful guidance in our book club series. We will do our best to do her justice and do it well
Yes.
without her. So, hey Jordan, we miss you. We're
Miss
excited for you
you.
to come back to our next reads that we have coming up this summer. Um, and hopefully we'll still get your thoughts on what you thought of rich people problems as well, because I would be very curious. So send us your bullet point list. We want to know. Okay, so I actually think since we're wrapping up the trilogy here, that it is best to start at the end and talk about our thoughts, feelings on how this book and this series concluded. Megan, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Okay, so I I'll start with an I feel statement.
Oh, yes, my therapy.
Um, I felt like this was a fitting conclusion to the trilogy. I also felt that there were two very significant, vastly different storylines going on. Like I personally really loved a lot of the history and intel behind Su Yi and how
Yes.
her upbringing, what was going on with the war, like how involved she ended up being. And to me, I felt like that carried so much weight. And then you have this like flitting rich people problem, if you will, of Astrid and what her which like that sucked. I will be honest, like hearing all about that and how it ended up being like so much more dramatic and everything like that was not fun. But I just to me those could have almost been just two separate books at that point. Like I really wish we could have focused a lot more on Tyersall Park and Su Yi and on that background, and then Astrid could have almost just had her own book with how everything went with her. But I do feel like, I mean, obviously this is the drama over drama for this. So I do feel like it was a fitting ending to conclude this trilogy with. And at the same time, I feel like I kind of want more. Like I almost wish there was another book. I would read it again. I'd read more of this world's problems because it is so just beyond comprehension for me and it's just kind of fun to like get lost in. But yeah, overall I just it was good. And I also feel bad like I read this again probably about a month ago now, so I'm trying to like read notes as I'm talking, that way I'm not like totally forgetting what's going on. But no, that's where I'm at.
Emily, what about you?
I share your view, Megan, on many pieces of this. I really liked the historical, I'll say historical fiction pieces from
Yes.
Suyi's childhood. I wanted more of that.
Yeah.
But I'm a historical fiction junkie, so like I would have read 3 books on just that information alone. Um, I I loved too. I feel like the end, everything wrapped up in a nice bow. And just for me, I liked that this series felt like all the storylines concluded. We had a nice little like end the end moment. So that was nice. That just was like closure, right? As a reader on these. Um, I thought it was clever too, for how Kevin Kwan wrote like Suyi's last will and that she left it to several people. Because as I was reading up to that point, I'm going, this is kind of too perfect if he just, or if she says, and Nick, here's your 64-acre estate. And like
Yes.
that, it just would feel too, and we're done, like perfect in the scheme of things. So I liked that there was a bit more drama, on that piece. Um, I love Astrid. I mean, she's the queen bee, I think, of this entire series, and so I was thrilled that she got her happy ending at last. I also don't blame her because now we're heavy into spoilers. I don't blame her one bit for like falling off the face of the earth in a private like island that you have to swim underwater to get to. Like I was like, girl, don't leave, just stay. Like just don't. There's no point. So you know, like that, appreciated that story. But yeah, and I think Eddie just was comic relief for me. Like the juxtaposition of Eddie being so concerned about the value of everything in the house and thinking he's going to be the favorite with what Sui actually went through to be in the house and the historical significance was just like, it was laughable. Like Eddie is just out of his mind. I think we knew that from the beginning, but that was just a funny, like, you have no context of any of this.
And
Yeah.
the fact that like he literally threw like temper tantrums,
Yeah.
which like that's like classic Eddie as we've seen, but
Yeah.
like even more so this book. And I love that to me that is comic relief for like, hey, you know what? The last 10 minutes of someone's life, I'm gonna make a really big show about it and I'm gonna just
Like,
cry my eyes. I'm like, are you serious, dude? You're an idiot.
well, especially, and I thought it was hilarious when his wife was the witness on so like she knew what
Yes.
was in the will.
Fiona, snaps girl.
Right. And I'm sitting here because Fiona, right, is her name. I'm going, Fiona, you really have four children. You are three actual children, and
Yeah,
then Eddie.
your
And
husband. Yeah.
yeah, and she was like, when he confronted her, I loved her, like, just nonplussed, like, yeah, what do you want from me? Like, it
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Because I love that. Well, at one point, I think he confronted her of like, well, didn't you read the will? And she was like, no, I didn't sit down and
No,
read it. I just signed it. She
did
just
it.
needed a witness.
That
Oh,
was chef's kiss.
I
loved it.
agree. And I really liked his full circle moment in general too of the epilogue and he's like been in therapy and is I was like, Eddie, you know, we always did have sort of this love-hate relationship with you, and I'm so glad that this all worked out for you in the
Agreed.
end, that you chose your family over over everything else. So that was
Good
good.
choice. Yeah.
I think I echo or feel similarly about a lot of it. I agree. Sue Yi's story for me stole the show, and if I had one thing that I said, I would have liked more of that. Historical fiction, yes, but I also feel like I learned a lot about the history of World War II and that area of the world that I definitely didn't know before. So it was just fascinating. And I felt like every time we had her perspective, and her flashbacks, I was always so invested in that. Um, One of the things that surprised me was how much I didn't like Kitty's
Ooh.
storyline because I was in Kitty's corner at the end of book two. I was 100% there, and I was surprised at how much I disliked her and Oliver throughout this. And I felt like the pacing between what Kitty and Oliver were doing and her sort of being not just upset, but like focused so much on Colette, and I didn't care as much when we were comparing it to Soo and Astrid and everything else that was going on with Tiresell Park. So that was like a bit of a distraction for me. Shout out Nigel Barker though for being included in this. What an America's Top Model throwback that was.
Yeah.
I feel like I read his name twice and I was like, wait, that's the Nigel Barker, right? Yes.
Yeah.
It has to
And then
be.
he's thanked as the top person in the acknowledgments at the end.
That's hilarious. Yeah,
That's
I
so,
don't even think I realized that. Oh my gosh.
that's
And
hilarious.
then Emily, it's funny. So like I agree. It had this whole tied up in a bow with every single storyline, which I also really appreciated. The thing that was, this is just my opinion as a reader, the last probably 50 to 70 pages to me went by they seemed so condensed that I was confused at like the first 400 pages. I felt like everything had been really methodical, even sometimes a bit too drawn out, and then I felt like the ending was almost rushed. But that was just my interpretation of it, where when I even though I felt like there was still so much to wrap up. I even remember thinking in the last 50 pages I to myself, how are we going to put all of this into a nice, neat bow? Because there's only 50 pages left. And so that would be one of my only other things is that it it could have maybe been like a 400 page book as opposed to a 500 plus page book. But that's just also that I certainly enjoyed certain storylines more than others too, and then really felt that way about the end. Okay, so I also think that we should break this down a bit more by characters. So now we've seen them go full circle. So I want to start with our original two who kicked off this entire story, Nick and Rachel, and what this journey looked like if we think back to they were the main focus in book one, and then it almost seems like they've taken a back seat as we move further along. But maybe that's just me. What do you guys think?
No, I totally agree. I mean, I was about to say like I felt like they were barely in this book. I mean, Nick's basically his only storyline was to get back into his grandma's, not get back into her favor, but like make amends before she passed away. And then Rachel was just like supportive wife, you go, Nick. Like that's pretty much all we saw of them. And then of course he came back at the end. Not necessarily a hero, but just like trying to find a way to make Tyersall Park work for everyone as best he could. But otherwise, like you're totally right. I feel like their storyline just they brought us in and then they dipped out, and that's all they had to do.
And even then, we still ended with, I mean, I think it's maybe one of the last paragraphs, one of the final paragraphs is about her being pregnant, even though they were such a backstory for this. I'm like, how did we end with these two when they have not been the focus
Right.
for this book? And I'm not gonna lie, that made me cringe a little bit. That's probably a hot take, but I was like, she was so set the whole time about the pressure and the craziness of Eleanor. I mean,
Yeah.
Eleanor literally bringing a doctor to Bible study to do an examination of her, which is just next level unhinged and insane. And all of this, and then it was just like 1 year later, oh, and I'm pregnant. Yay, we're so excited. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this feels weird to me.
That felt rushed. I also like Rachel wasn't even in this book. We've already said that, but because Nick went by himself, like when it was a all hands, Sudi's on her deathbed, every family come now. Like Rachel stayed back. That was one of the first things that I'm going, she's not even like gonna be in the mix of things. It was just Nick navigating all of it until the very, very end when Nick needed Rachel's, I mean, support and help, and they figured it out together, and that was fine. But I agree, Brie. I think that piece was a little too cherry on top, you know, bow.
And it felt like a TV series where we're 3 seasons in and one character says, "Oh, I'm not going to commit to a full contract of this," and is only in 2 episodes of the whole series. They're in the first episode and then the season finale,
That's it.
but that didn't need to happen. This
Yeah.
is the book. She could have been there the whole time. Um, okay, moving on to Kitty Pong, because I am curious. I've already kind of stated my opinion on her, which was vastly different from how I felt about her in book two. How did you guys feel about Kitty Pong? Her marriage to Jack Bing is brand new in this book. Colette is her stepdaughter, who they've never met until they all end up at that dinner. But so what was your take on her storyline in particular?
I, I mean, for me, I just feel like this whole book, like you kind of alluded to, Brie, like Kitty Pong's storyline was just a whole eye roll for me. Like, I did love how much Oliver was involved because I really like him as a character and I liked his involvement with her. But she just everything just felt so petty, and I feel like in book two, it was a lot about like I'm going to build myself up as this woman and as this image, and I'm going to be this type of person, and that's how I want to present myself. And then it was like this third book, she totally let all of that fly because she married a billionaire. And so none of that self preservation mattered to her anymore. And she was just going to do whatever it took to be on top. And I don't know, I just found that to be borderline just annoying. Like I just did not like it as much, especially because it was so petty. Like, let me rip up her wedding dress. Bitch, we didn't need to do that. Like, you could have just walked away. Like, it's not, I don't know. It just took it to a level that I didn't necessarily appreciate from her since having felt like she had so much growth in book two.
That's what I was gonna
Right.
say is I felt like we had so much character growth from her over her entire story of where she was in book one and then through book two and ending. And it felt like we took so many steps back.
I,
Also, did was Colette's parents divorced in book two and I just never picked up on that? Or like
They
when did that happen?
they got
Four.
divorced.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I
I was
think
like, did I miss that?
no, I share your sentiment. I felt like, and the only way I can say this, like Kitty lost some of her intelligence that she gained in book two, because the part that stood out to me was because I think Kitty and Jack had a son. Like that
Yes.
was part of this too, right?
Harvard.
Harvard. What a name. Um, but so Kitty has a daughter, right? And then and Colette, obviously Jack had from previous marriage, and then they have a son together. And the scene where she loses her shit at him about the inheritance of the three kids. And the I don't even remember the numbers, but it's like they're all getting more than 10 million bucks a piece, right? And her daughter has inheritance from his bio father and all of that. Like, and she was losing her mind because like there wasn't more for her kids than Colette. And that whole scene is where I lost like the respect I had gained for her in book two. It went sliding back down the hill because I'm going, Kitty, you were presented as someone who's climbed the ladder, been smart about it, like maybe not taken the best choices or made choices that all of us would make, but you have a head on like a good head on your shoulders, more or less, for what you want to accomplish. And you're throwing a temper tantrum. Like I put it in the same bucket as Eddie in the last 5 minutes of his grandmother's life, thinking that he could like throw a big scene and be added to the top of the will. Like I'm going, what are you doing? This makes no sense. You could play this chess game a whole lot better if you just stopped.
I- I'm with you there, Emily. And for me, I think and this is books, TV, anything, some of the most cringy moments for me are anytime someone goes, it's either them or me. And I'm like, obviously he's going to choose his biological family, you idiot. Like,
Like you could you do so many different things if you just thought about it for a
yes,
second.
yes.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot of moments of it's either you choose them or it's me. And it's like, walk
Yeah.
away, walk
Walk
And
away.
away.
then, I mean, she kept giving Oliver ultimatums too, and
Yes.
I hated that the whole time. And then for me, because I loved Oliver in book one, and I felt like, and guaranteed, we got some insight into why he was sort of behaving the way that he was. And that he didn't have the status and the wealth that they had before. But even with him, I was like, this is not the Oliver that I know and love, who is scheming and like trying to do all of this for Kitty Pong. This isn't making sense to me. But she kept giving him ultimatums too. It just felt like that was how she operated with anybody. And sorry, I just had a thought that I was like, wow, I know somebody else. Well, not know, but I'm like, this reminds me a lot of somebody else.
Oh,
Then I'm like, oh, they just give everybody ultimatums, and that's super
Yeah.
unfortunate.
yeah.
Um, Okay. We brought up Eddie a little bit. We've already talked about him too, but just not even just the uncontrollable sobbing of 5 minutes, before CE is gonna die, but also the actual scheming that he was doing to make sure that Nick and Astrid wouldn't be there, couldn't be at Tire Cell Park. And I will say I love that it was the staff, for lack of a better word, that uncovered all of this and then made the game plan because of how much they respected Soo Yi. And then on that note too, while I'm just rambling, Soo Yi like leaves them all stuff in her will.
That like that moment for me made me like emotional because it was
Yep.
like she really truly was looking out for everyone.
Yep.
Whether they were a member of her family or a member of her staff, they were well covered by her.
Well, and the part where I think her, is it like chief of staff, head of the staff, the woman
Hmm.
who basically left her village at 15, right? Or 14, some like very young age, had not been back, had been sending money, but like her whole life was dedicated to Suyi and Tire Soul Park and everything. And she rose through the ranks, and she now had enough to retire with her nieces, nephews, and grandnieces and like go back. That part was so touching. And like that was the happy part of everything. Yeah.
It was. I want to add to that. So, this entire time throughout the story, or for a big portion of it, we're kind of leading up to what Suyi's will is going to say and all of the assumptions that were made. And I will say, in the back of my head, we're getting this context to her life too, and all that she's been through, and how much of a hero she is, and this entire life that she lived before becoming such a figure for not only her family but for the society too. And so I will say the whole time I was thinking that based on what all of the characters were saying, they all sort of assumed that she was going to follow this like patriarchal hand down of Tyersall Park. And as I was reading, I remember thinking how frustrated I was about that, because you're very, or at least I was like, okay, so it's still going to happen. Like in some way, shape, or form, there's going to be this like patriarchal pass down. And it didn't make sense to me with her character. And I'm like, but I'm after all that she's been through, after being the matriarch of this family, like how could you still have that ideal? And so the way that Kevin Kwan then did the entire will, I thought was so brilliant because it kind of quashed a lot of that. Like not only taking care of literally everybody, but by in doing so too, she sort of broke that cycle of it always having to be passed down to like a male figure.
I'm with you, Brie, but one thing that didn't like, I'll say kind of confused me about that is in book one, and just help me understand, in book one, she's so against Rachel for Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And we assume it's because she's going to do the patriarch, like pass it to Nick, and she wants to, make sure that he's got a partner and everything. But what we learn in book three feels like her will had been written for years. Like she'd had this plan. She didn't change her will because of Nick. Like he was kept in the will. And it just didn't add up for me on why she was so opposed to Rachel when she knew she was going to do what she ended up doing in the will.
So if I remember it correctly, and I
Maybe I
could
missed
be
something.
very wrong, I
Yeah.
want to say the will was like edited 2 years after they got married or something.
So she
And
changed it.
yes, but part of the reason that she was so against their marriage initially had a lot to do with her fears from the war
Hmm.
and all of that sort of stemming from that, which I will say I don't really remember
I don't
exactly what it
remember.
was, but I do remember that that's what it was, more so her own fears of from her personal experiences and like I mean the other relationship and an affair that she had and all of that. And so that was like her big thing, but then I thought it was really special how much she wanted to make amends because of that. And I mean, even when Nick shows up and she's specifically asking for Rachel and Rachel's not there, and like and she should have been a part of this whole book. Like, um, so I mean, so I might be misremembering that, but I'm pretty sure the will was like touched after they'd been married.
I
That's
think
what
you're
I
right.
couldn't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I also, so this book is how many years after they got married? Do we remember that?
Two
Is it
or
like
three?
five, two, three,
No, I
five?
think it's like two-ish, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So that would
So
mean
no,
then
so if
we,
the will was touched 2 years after they got married, we're like 3 or 4 years out, which that would make
Okay.
sense too, also based on Kitty Pong's children's ages.
Children's ages.
yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's use someone else's kids to. to
To
tell the
timestamp
timelines.
this.
And what's Astrid's son's name? Because he's like 7 now or
Yeah,
something too.
Cassian's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
seven
So,
now, and yep.
so that would
Yes.
make sense. Okay.
Okay. But also you just made me think, Brie, of how you just were saying how like Rachel should have been there and she wasn't. And I'm thinking what Rachel did for Nick is exactly what should have happened book 1, where he should have just gone to Singapore by himself. And then she meets up with him for the event and then they go their separate ways. Like
Yes.
that should have been the entire book 1 plot summary as well.
100%. 100%.
Yes.
I will say though, I do like, sorry, Bree, to jump in on
Mhm.
what Suyi did with Rachel with the pearl earrings
Yeah.
that ended up having the code that Nick
Oh.
needed, like, to get into the safe. And also what she did with Astrid and the engagement ring that she gave to Charlie. I know we'll talk about that, but just those two gestures I thought were so beautifully done in the story.
I thought
And
so
to
too.
me, I feel like that totally goes back to like she really has come to terms and like is at
Yes.
peace and
Yep.
wants to make amends with everyone around her, whether she's been kind to them or not.
I will say the Suyi in book 3 is not at all the
Oh, the
Suyi that I
Suyi.
remember from book
No,
1.
no.
No, no. Though, yeah, by far. I definitely prefer the Suyi, especially
Same.
knowing her history as well.
I laugh. My son has a phrase in preschool about making choices from kindness. And so we've had a lot of questions about Disney characters and whether they make choices from kindness or not.
Oh.
Um, and so it just brings back to I feel like Suyi is making choices from
From
kindness in book
kindness.
3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leo's preschool did a lot of red choice, bad, green
Oh,
choice, good. And so whenever he loves to tell May that she's making red choices because they're not very good. But
oh,
Suyi made a green choice.
green
So that
choice.
was good.
Yeah. Our archetype for not making choices from kindness is Voldemort in our house.
Mm,
So we have a
yes.
lot of questions about why he doesn't make choices from kindness. So Suyi is the opposite end of the spectrum in this
Yes.
book. Yeah.
He has also had a lot of character growth. Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's talk about Astrid's story, whatever we want to get into about Astrid. How about her engagement? How did we feel about this elaborate engagement that Charlie Wu threw for Astrid?
I feel that this was one where I this is me speaking my opinion. I think Kevin Kwan wanted this book to also be a movie, to have this like big Bollywood middle of the show performance as like just this, I don't know, comic relief, this elevation, if you will. So I didn't think it was necessary, but I could see how in a film this would translate really well to the screen.
Megan, I second that because I was reading that whole Bollywood Indian palace scene going, this doesn't feel like Astrid. Like
No.
Yes.
Astrid and Charlie's whole relationship, not that they're going to stay incognito, but their whole vibe has been low key, fairly normal, all about themselves, private, right? And, but like the nicest stuff, but private, right?
Yes, and very like respectful. Like I feel like he was
Yeah,
always like, "Is this okay?" And she
right.
was the thing, especially like I feel like it was mentioned, like meeting kids and things like that, and like just their
Yeah.
involvement with each other. So to me, I feel like this didn't feel like a "was this okay" moment for
This felt
Astrid.
this felt more Kitty Pong than Astrid to me.
Yes,
Yes.
agree. That's a good way of saying it.
Hmm.
I couldn't agree more. I will say I love that Charlie went to Suyi to get her blessing, and I thought that
Yes.
that was so special. And we mentioned the engagement ring. I thought that, but this felt so unnecessary and not Astrid at all, even though she was, yeah, this
Well,
just felt, I guess to me, now that we talk about it more, and this is, and I feel, I, I feel like so many of the characters were not their normal selves in this book compared to other books.
yeah.
Yes, I think I agree with that statement too. And I also like looking back on how they were so upset about like the paparazzi catching them. Like you don't do the big performance and then not expect people to stop.
Exactly. Yeah. I will
Like
say
how
though,
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. The one scene, one of my favorite scenes though in the book is when Astrid is back at Tyersall Park and she said it's after the engagement and she's wearing the ring and it kind of breaks out because the paparazzi like right, it's all over the news and they're slandering her because Michael's involved and we can talk about all of that. But when all the aunties like notice that it's Suyi's ring, that Charlie got permission and it just like shuts everything down and
Hmm.
like they all that was just oh, I loved that scene.
Agreed. That's
Yeah.
probably one of my top scenes.
So like a validation moment, like Su Yi had like a moment, a day of clarity, and
Yeah.
she come up and ask like, "How was the engagement?" Like in front of
Yes.
everyone. I
Yep.
loved that too because that just
Love that.
reinforced, yes,
It was like end of closure, done.
yeah,
No one make a comment and we're all happy. Yeah.
yep,
Okay, I think so. Here's the thing: we could spend more time talking about Colette. I don't necessarily know that we need to. I love that Carlton was still around. I was kind of surprised that Rachel's father, for how important he was in book two, never so much as made an appearance. There's maybe a mention of him, which I thought was interesting, but love that Carlton was still around. But I think we kind of rounded out with just like we were talking about Tyersall Park and what happens at the end with this because it's not going to one person but is being divvied up amongst everybody. And how did we feel about their final plans? Because they have billion-dollar offers coming in left and right. Kitty Pong is gonna make a stab at it and is certainly not gonna keep it as it is, as she's literally in there. And poor Oliver is like, no, 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 that's from blah 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 King. We can't just tear out the floor. But how did we feel about what Nick and Rachel's save the day plans were?
Emily, I'll let you go because I'm not sure if I remember exactly how it wound down.
It's also been a while since I've read it, so I may
I
get
know.
some of these facts right. Um, but I kind of liked how it ended up, honestly. I was a little like taken aback. I remember when I was reading it going, "What are you doing?" But I think the crux of it was because Carlton got involved and Kitty got involved. Because remember, she wanted elephants in the garden, like
Yes.
sprinkled throughout, right? So her elephants showed up because it's 64 acres, and they ended up keeping the house as is, subdividing part of the
Yes.
land so that they have more affordable houses, still multi-million dollars, I'm sure, but more affordable in the area. And it becomes a true park. Like they save it almost as a historical
It
monument
does
for
get listed
like
as like a historical
sure.
site. Yeah.
Yeah, historical site. So I really loved the historic, like they made it a historical site. It's protected now, and then they brought in funds for that by the subdividing piece. Um, Again, from a like liking closure, I liked that the characters that we all were kind of endeared to, like Kitty and Peak Lang comes in right to help manage it, and like these characters that we liked got their little stamp of it, and so it stayed within the family, even though they're not all totally related. Um, but I was kind of hoping that the family would keep all of it in its entirety, and that's just like a piece of me was like I was hoping they'd find a way to do that, but not at the money that it would take to do that.
Yes. Okay, that is ringing bells for me. And what was Oliver's role in that? Because he also got a portion of it, I thought.
He dies, and he also he facilitated Kitty getting involved with it as well because she basically support like Nick needed so much money and
Yes.
he only had 2 or 3 billion and he needed an extra 2 or 3 billion, and so Oliver facilitated all of that and then got a cut with some of that too, so then his financial situation is restored.
Yes.
And so everybody gets a piece of the pie, if you will, and it becomes a historical site, which but I agree. Like I'm good with it. I like how it ended, but I also Emily was kind of like, but there was a small part of me that wanted it just
Yeah.
within the family. But I think that the way that it worked out made sense. And yeah, I literally just finished it today and I already forgot that Picklin married Alistair.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. I forgot about that because for a second I thought she was getting together with Carlton, but he is single or he was seeing someone.
He saw
I don't.
He's
cousin.
dating, what's that?
Didn't Carlton fall in love with a model who's like Nick's cousin or
Yes,
second
yes.
Yes,
cousin or
the
like,
He's
French
like
girl.
French.
yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yep.
yes, yes.
Yep.
You're
And
right.
he
Because
had
oh
his
yeah, because
very
there was like the
say
whole like
anything
dating
moment.
thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And she had no idea what he was doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, well, if so we did this
Okay.
with Red Rising. Oh, okay.
I have a question. Sorry.
Take it away.
Since we were on the will, this I didn't want to miss the moment. Okay, since we just talked about the will and like what happened to Tyersall Park and all of that, I'm curious if you were choosing who inherits your life's work, would you prioritize the person who needs it most, the person who earned it most, or the person most likely to protect your legacy?
Oh my gosh.
So needs it, earned it, or protect it.
Needs it, earned it, or protect it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So as I was just kind of not shitting on it, but would I literally pull a Soo Yi and divide it into three?
There you go.
I was like, as I'm sitting over there like questioning her decisions. Oh, that's so hard.
Mm-hmm.
I I feel like I would need so much context to that, but my initial no context, no nuance says I would like to give it to the person that needs it most.
Sure.
I feel like that's where my gut is taking me, but then I also, if I'm real with myself, which I should be more, I have a feeling that I would want someone to protect my legacy. Not that I'm like necessarily super traditional, but I do feel like in some of those moments I could be. So I think my answer would be to the person that protects it. Yeah, I don't know.
We're gonna have a three-way split because
I was
I
gonna say,
think I
Emily, so
probably
are you gonna
earned it.
pick?
I know. So here was my thought is Megan, I initial like gut reaction was protect the legacy. Like that's where I went. But as I was like noodling it over, I think part of the and this is part of the challenge with Tyersall Park is just protecting is not always enough when you look at the next generation taking the reins. And I think that's what Suyi maybe saw, felt, I don't know, thought about. Um, and you've someone to like guide it into the next, you know, generation and beyond. I think the person who's earned it has probably cut their teeth on the challenges or the problems or like risen above and solved the issues that they might face if they're trying to then take a legacy forward versus just protecting it as much as like I would have loved to have built a fence around Tyersall Park and just say it's mine. I'd probably go with the person who earned it.
See, I feel like for the needing and the earning, I could see so much conflict because what if it's someone like new to your life and like they
Oh,
haven't been there through everything that everyone else has been there through? And so that's where I just feel like that's almost a disadvantage to others in your
yeah,
family or, in the circle that you're. So I don't know. I just feel like I'm more inclined to protection just because I
yeah,
feel like it's more likely that the people that will protect you have been there the
totally,
longest, if that makes sense.
totally.
I
So
guess it depends on what my legacy is.
I know, yeah, that too.
Because
Like if it's
like,
nothing, then who cares?
um, yeah, I mean, depending on what my legacy is, maybe I do want someone to protect it, but that needs to be factored in.
Yeah.
I don't have a Suyi legacy, like
No,
No, no,
so.
no.
no,
No.
no.
Um, so if we can take that into account, then I reserve the right to change my mind.
Fair, very fair.
Okay, so with Red Rising, we all kind of did a ranking, and so I am very curious with this trilogy as well. How
Mhm.
would you guys rank the three books? Do
I
you want me to
think
start?
Go for it, Brie.
Um, I would say it was a very, very close between for my number one, it would be really close between Rich People Problems and China Rich Girlfriend, so books two and three. I would probably put this one, book three, as my number one purely because I loved the Suyi historical aspect of it. I just felt like that added so much. And so then I would put China Rich Girlfriend as my number two, and I would put the first book as my third, which, as we all know, too, I will just say, like, I audiobooked book one. If anyone remembers back
Hmm.
3 months ago when we started this, I audiobooked that. And if I have one recommendation for you when it comes to this series, it is that this is definitely an eyeball book. And
Yes. Because you
and
need all the footnotes and the
Footnotes.
you
nuance. Yes, you need
Yeah.
all
you,
of that.
you need
It's
all
just
the
additional
footnotes.
context.
Yes,
Yeah.
you need all the footnotes. You need to be able to just read it with your own humor
Hmm.
and all of that. I think that that adds so much. So nothing, the narrator was great, all of that, but I just think that really impacted my experience with book one.
I think thinking through it here live. So, um, it would be a toss up between China Rich Girlfriend and Rich People Problems again for my number one. Um, so I'd probably put them as tied for one and therefore two. Because there were different elements. Like I loved the Su Yi piece of book three, but I loved Kitty Pong in book two. So, but then she like got a demerit in book three. So I think it kind of they would be on the same level for me. Create the first book, Crazy Rich Asians, I would put as third for sure. The biggest demerit is that the mahjong scene in the movie, which is Chef's Kiss, and that moment of like confrontation is not in the book. I don't think that's on the like ranking sheet, but for me, like that,
You
I was
needed that moment.
missing that
Yeah.
moment. Didn't have to be mahjong, could have been flower picking,
Anything. Yeah.
anything. But I was missing that like Rachel, Eleanor, like two strong women, like conversation moment in book one.
I will second that, and I will just also add that I absolutely loved the movie.
Loved it.
I thought the movie was so good. I wanted to watch it again. If
Yes.
they could put it on a streaming platform that I have so that I don't have to rent it all the time, that'd be great.
I think I ranked it similarly for Red Rising. I think I'm gonna go 3-1-2
Oh,
as
okay.
my
Okay.
ranking.
Hmm.
That's where I'm standing.
All in all, though, like I would say this has been fun. It's been a great
Yeah,
spring summer transition read
totally.
too for all of us. And I'm excited that we're kind of staying not on theme, but continue with some summer reads for July and August. So rather than a series coming up, we're going to do, I think, and I'm going way, way back in my brain, I think they're interconnected, sort of, but we are jumping into some Allie Hazelwood books, starting with Not in Love by Allie Hazelwood next month. So if you have read that, want to read it, I think it's going to be a great July read for all of us. And let us know. Definitely tune in then. Have either of you read? Well, Emily, I know you've read Allie Hazelwood. Megan, have you?
This will be my first time.
Well,
But
here
I
we
will say,
go.
I've read Allie Hazelwood's like paranormal, like Bride
Yes.
and Mate. I don't think Not in Love has like werewolves and vampires and like I don't think that's the vibe. So we'll see.
I don't think so.
I
So,
did just recommend the second book to my book club because they were also looking for like a summer read. So I recommended both books, but they chose to go with the one that literally has summer in the title. So
Perfect.
so yeah, so we're gonna do Not in Love in July and then Problematic Summer Romance in August. So not a series this time, but it's similar, and then we'll
Similar.
jump into something more fall related in a couple of months.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yay! Awesome. Well, thanks so much for listening. Definitely tune in next month and be sure to check out all of our amazing author conversations and reading recaps as well if you're still looking for other books to add to your TBR, are in a bit of a reading slump and need some recommendations. Any of those episodes will help guide you. Thanks for listening. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks so much for listening. The Narratives and Nightcaps podcast is a production of The Craft Co., with intro music created by Remington Haynes.
Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow at Narratives and Nightcaps on Instagram or visit our website, narrativesandnightcaps.com.
Sign up for our newsletter to always know what we're reading next, which authors are joining us on the show, and for extra bookish and beverage info.
Connect with our additional co-hosts, Jordan and Emily, as well.
You can find me on Instagram at Cozy Reads and Sips.
And you can find me on Instagram at books.bottles.
Cheers!
Cheers!